Alright, I got the 3-die set, generally set here. I mean, obviously I don't have any loaded cases, so I can't set mine. And here is my progressive press, and right over here I'm going to add in this turret press. Got my stainless steel plate here, and I went ahead and buffed up a little bit. And get marker holes. I'm actually going to do just a tracing of where this foot or the pad's going to be. Alright. And what I've done there is traced the footprint of it, and since it's, instead of having holes, it's got slots, 3 slots there. And I marked about in the very middle of each of the slots. That way it gives me some room to play with once I drill my holes and everything. And my bolts and my holes will go through the stainless steel plate and down through this board. These front 2 will actually go down into here, and they'll be long lag screws, most likely. Either way, you can rest assured that it will be secured. You talk about an invaluable tool. One of these press punches. I use these for staking stuff. I mean, all kinds of operations. They work great for all kinds of stuff like that. We're going to have to switch to a little bit smaller bit. Pushed back. By drilling the back one first here, what I've done, God, I gotta get a new tripod. Anyways, there's 3 open slots there. these two oppose each other, and so they're in direct relation to each other. Well, they can have a little bit of distance being off between the two. This one here is going to dictate if these two are in the center. So by drilling it first, even though it moved over to the left of where I really drew my lines at by the time that it seated in and started drilling, now all I have to do is just move each one of these over just a hair. Even if I drilled them right where I ascribed them at, they're still going to be fine because they have adjustment that way. That was the important one to get it done first. Now, since we may have to use screws on these front two because of this board here, I don't want to drill all the way down through. I just want to have the metal drilled through. Now, the other thing is that these holes are should be oversized. If they're not, I'm going to make them oversized for the bolts I end up using. That way there's more and more play. Because once I have it all tightened down, a little bit of play there is not going to matter. And it looks like we're going to be in good business there. Now we just need to see what we're going to use to secure it. And here's where working on cars for 10 years as a business comes in handy. I've got a plethora of all kinds of nuts, bolts from Hondas, Nissans, Toyotas, all kinds. So there's never any shortage of metric hardware around here. That's for damn sure. Well, let's see here. But I am going to have to put a different washer on the bottom. Of course. That one's a little big. I am here to tell you there's no replacement for having a plasma cutter. I mean, obviously I wasn't too worried about it being real straight, won't be seen, but I just fired up the plasma cutter and just, I mean, that fast. I mean, as fast as it would cut this faster than I could physically move my hand down. And you see, I mean, the jaggedness, that's just for my hand moving. But I have not dressed it at all. There's, you can see just a little bit of slag there. That was the bottom side. But I mean that's clean. Are there some plasma cutters out there that might do a little better job than this longevity? Probably. Are they going to do it for anywhere near the price? Definitely not. I mean, you know, you're talking on that plasma cutter right at what, 500 delivered. That's everything out the door. And I mean, the next closest thing to that, you're going to be at a solid $800, $900, $1,000. I mean, easy around that cost. Alright, that's what I need. Now I need some wrenches. Gotta love gear wrenches. Long bolt. A little bit more work to do. And yet again, I proclaimed the value of having a plasma cutter around. Simple things just like the holes there. I'm not worried about it being a precise hole. I just needed to have a hole big enough to fit this bolt in. Took me, I mean, 2 seconds to go over there and zip both of these in there. I mean, that is worth having a plasma cutter over. Use it for all kinds of stuff, cut aluminum, whatever. And like I say, at 500 bucks, I mean, you can't beat that. You can cut 1/2 inch. This one's 1/2 inch thick steel. 1 pass, clean is what this one's rated at. Now that doesn't mean you can't cut anything thicker. That just means that 1 pass, clean cut, it'll do a 1/2 inch. You can take multiple passes and do thick stuff. But that's how plasma cutters are rated. So anyways, now that you've got your plasma cutter lesson in for the day, I've changed to this square bolt head. This is like a, I don't know, an alternator bolt, something off of I think a Mitsubishi, and that's still just a little bit hot. We're gonna hold off before we finish this. Woo! There's nothing that a quick dip in the water couldn't cure. There we go. You ever seen a monkey screw a football? You have now. And there we go. Make sure everything's lined up down there. Go get the proper wrench. I believe it's 17. I don't remember, it might have been 14. There we go. See, now that can go tighter, but now that it's good and snug on there, that will allow me to get these cut better and get the proper screws in. I want these two washers off of these two bolts here. They're set on, they were threaded afterwards. Can't get them off, but I need those. Plasma cutter. Had to make sure I was looking at the right spot. My helmet hadn't dimmed yet. But anyways, just like that, you're done. Alright. These are the screws that I've chosen for the front two. And they're going to go in here, and those will keep this press from being able to slide forward. But the back's the one that's really doing all the work, and it's got everything that it needs underneath there to keep that wood from pulling through. Of course, it's very thick anyways, so we should be in business here very shortly. Had to go cut these two washers out too, because the threads that were on these screws are so gnarly that they wouldn't go through the washers. So anyways, now that that's done, now the dumbass didn't get something from a bit for my drill driver. Hold on. Here we go. Battery's about dead. You can tell that I planned this through really well. Yep, battery's dead. Stay tuned for the sequel. And I got the turret press up there. I got everything lubed and course, got my battery charged. Here is a RCBS 45 ACP 3 dicarbide set, and that's what I'm going to set into 3 of the stations here. Gentleman from A-Zone Sports that had this, that gave this to me to use, loaded a lot of 45, so I'm guessing that the shell holder or the case holder is already a 45 ACP. So I'm going to use the first 3 stations for 45 until I get around to getting the large primer set up and everything to do progressive style 45 ACP on my LoadMaster. But for now, we'll use the turret press. I got some people that are wanting some 45, and go from there. What I'm doing here is just running it down until it touches. I'll back it off a little bit, give it about a quarter turn. Then I'm coming down, and what I want to do is make it to where on this press, and some of them at the base here, whenever they're the full extension, they actually cantilever down. They have a lockup. On the Lee presses, they don't do that. They just go to a stop. On this one, though, you go to here, and then it cams on over for a full lockup. That's a lot of leverage, and if you adjust the dies improperly, if you adjust them down too far, you can tear up the press, tear up the dies, you can do a lot of damage. So you want to make sure that when it goes to lock up there, that you're not stressing your system too much. I thought that little wrench might work. It was the one that came with it, but it's not going to fit. Hey, what do you know? That one's not fitting either. Where did my wrench go? Alright, I got the 3 die set. Generally set here. I mean, obviously I don't have any loaded cases, so I can't set my seat depth, but the crimp for the most part is set. I'll have to tweak it just a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and size and decap a couple. Check that out. Alright. Now I will adjust how much we're belling the case mouth. Looks like we got a little bit of belling. Let's see. Still go a little more. And as you can see, all I'm doing is just about 1/8 of a turn at a time, and I'm just looking for visual cues here. I don't care to blow a piece of brass or two, just to quickly get it set up. And what I'm doing is, let's see, I'll show you whenever I go this time. Now what I'm doing here, you'll probably be able to see. If you look, let me get the camera just where I can see. If you look down into those 2 case mouths, do you see? You may not be able to tell. This one, there's both of them have a little black ring part of the way down, just a little bit down. This one, the black ring's only at the top. This one, the black ring's down probably I don't know, not quite 1/8 of an inch. What that is, that's the beginning of this plunger starting to go down, and it will usually leave a black ring. You've got a good bit of that plunger before you get to where the expander part, where it'll actually start belling your case mouths. See, you look down in there and you can see where it's touching. And I can watch that line there, and I know about how. You see that black line down inside there? That's what I'm talking about. You look at this one, and it's just barely right on the tip. That's just where it was starting. What I'll do is I'll show you. See this one? You can look in there. Now you look in there and see that one. I'm going to do this one, and I'll show you the difference. Now it's not belling anything yet, but now you'll see, you can see down in there where it started to go down into it. And that's the end of this right here, going down into the case. And once it gets so far down in there, to begin with, it acts as an alignment pin, and then it's got a taper on it. That taper will begin to bell these case mouths, expand them, so they'll accept the base of your bullet easier. But you don't want to get carried away with that. You can run into other problems there if you expand too far. You can shorten the lifespan of your brass. Just with everything, it's a happy medium. And I'm almost there. I'll just go ahead and show y'all again here. See, it's getting pretty deep in there. That might be right at the, yeah, you can see that is just beginning to bell. And to be quite honest, don't really want too much more than that. Alright, that is actually just a hair too much bell. You can see there. I don't prefer that much. But these cases haven't been measured to make sure that they are trimmed an equal length or anything. So if you don't have your cases trimmed an equal length, you can have different bell amounts depending on how tall your case is.